Hi and welcome. Today I have an art tag for you. My tags I make on my Cricut with Bristol Smooth paper, but you can use whatever tags you want. I'm starting with some of Tim Holtz Collage paper, and this is the Photographic collection of them, and I'm just picking out some pictures that have a lot of people in them. If you saw the picture at the very beginning, that kind of came to me during a sleepless night, and I had already cut these Viewmaster like pieces out for something else I plan to do. But I kind of thought, oh, well, I could do that on a tag and have a picture there. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm taking a picture that I had already cut out or ripped out, I guess, and then I'm finding ones with lots of faces in them to go behind my Viewmaster slide. Now I use a water pen just to get edges that aren't straight. If you use a straight edge, it tends to just jump out at you. You see it. But if you kind of make it ragged by ripping it, and it rips much easier if it's wet, then it kind of just blends right in. You don't see it. So that's what I'm doing here, getting rid of any extra stuff. The one I'm working on now is going to be my main picture on the tag. It's one I already had pretty much in the tube, just waiting to be used. As kind of like a scrap of it left. And so that's going to be the base of my tag, and then I'm going to use I can't remember if I used 2 or 3 other pieces with the faces for the reel. The way I adhere the collage paper is I put Tim Holtz Collage Medium down first, and then I put the collage paper on top of it, and then Collage Medium on top of that. And the last Collage Medium is used to seal, cover, smooth out. It dries pretty quickly, so you have to either use enough that's not going to dry out or move fast. So I use this acrylic spreader. I would not say it's like the best spreader because it has gotten little raggedy edges on the straight edge, so it's not completely a straight edge anymore. So I will come in at the end with my catalyst, which is a true straight edge. Not sure what that's made of. I don't know if that's acrylic or not, but it's much heavier duty and just a real nice piece, the catalyst, if you need something like that. So I'm going down on the top again with the Collage Medium to seal it in, and I just had that little scrap, so I thought I'd just stick it on top. And I'll use my catalyst now to just try to get any wrinkles out, any bubbles out, just to kind of straighten it up. For the Viewmaster, then, I'm going to be ripping out a bunch of faces and gluing them down to the I shouldn't really call it ViewMaster because it's not ViewMaster. It just looks like ViewMaster. And I did that mine on my Cricut. It's 2 inches. You could, I know Etsy, I looked. Etsy does have, if you search ViewMaster pattern, you'll find some, and then you could make it any size you wanted and print it out, and that would give you a stencil or a template to cut out. So I know there's that. I'm not sure if there is like people cutting them out and selling them. I don't know. But I think if you were really ambitious enough to figure out something, you could figure it out. I don't know if Sizzix has a ViewMaster like piece, or you could always just make a frame and have another picture up top, or maybe you want to, if you've got this photographic collage paper, maybe take a label or something from another picture and just frame a label, like this was Grandpa 1930, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I'm sure you'll come up with something creative if you just can't do the ViewMaster, like ViewMaster-ish. So I'm speeding up my video here at this point because all I'm doing is grabbing faces, and so that's what I'm doing, just taking a few pictures and grabbing some faces that are going to go in the background of the ViewMaster-ish, ViewMaster-like. I don't want to get in trouble for calling it a ViewMaster because it isn't. I really didn't spend any time making sure that my faces were going to be coming through one of the squares. I kind of lined them up near where I thought they might lay, but that's about it. I didn't think anyone's going to be sitting here scrutinizing my little ViewMaster shape here to see what's behind it. But some are good and some are a little off, but that's okay for me. If you want to spend a lot of time making sure that they are centered and perfect, go for it. I just didn't need that. So I'm doing the same process. I'm putting Collage Medium down, covering them up with Collage Medium, and just going all the way around with the faces. I don't have enough at the end, so at the end I do put a couple words instead of going and grabbing more faces. I do put a couple words. And I use this little label. It said Tours. And then another little label. So I do let that all dry, and then I do a little bit of trimming, anything that's over the edges. It's easier when you let it dry, otherwise it's going to gum up your scissors. It'll come clean, but it just is easier if you let it dry. Or dry it. You can dry it with a little dryer. So I'm going to add a little bit of color, and maybe a little like a sepia tone, but there is a lot of sky here. So I did bring out speckled egg, and I have old paper. So I'm just going to do like a cloudy sky, but yet remembering it's an old picture, so there's not going to be any white clouds, but there's going to be some old paper clouds, or at least a mix of speckled egg and old paper. I'm going to do the old paper first, and just kind of smooshing it in, and I'll dry it, and then I'll do some more. And I'll do the same thing with the front of the Viewmaster like shape. If you dry in between layers, then you get a little better buildup of color. So I'm going to add some blue. I thought about coming right in with a brush, but I do just do some smooshing of the blue. And then I actually didn't like how it was too defined in some spaces, some places, so I spray it and let the paint or the ink move around a little bit. I use a paper towel to blot some of it away, and then I come back in with my water brush and the speckled egg. And I'm just kind of randomly putting it on there. And at first I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to like that, but actually I didn't mind it at all. Kind of made it look a little more old-timey to me. And then I don't know if this is a boardwalk or what. If it's a dirt street, I don't know. But I'm figuring it would probably be brown, so I'm giving a little bit of vintage photo on the ground. And I let that all dry, and I want to do a little bit of stamping. I'm going to kind of label my Viewmaster look like, because I think they did have like labels on them, like what it was of. And so if this is my own home Viewmaster reel, then I'm gonna label it. And you could write your label, like maybe, I mean, it says Paris on the bottom. Maybe that's 1930. You could write Grandpa in Paris in 1930 or something like that. Great Grandpa. You could label it like that, or whatever you wanted to do. I'm using Eccentric labels or stamps and Archival graphite. And a little bit of vintage photo. I'm dipping into it on the right. You can't quite see it because my desktop is quite messy, and I usually don't let it stay messy like this for this long. I think I wanted to make sure I was done with those colors. So you could punch a hole, a bigger hole, and use something that would let you spin the pictures. Um, I think if I was making it for someone, I might do that, but I just didn't want to go for the effort. But I am putting a little gold stud in the middle just to kind of add a little something to make it look like it might turn. And a little bit of vintage photo to the tag edge. And I'm going to mount that where I can see almost all the picture. I don't think it cuts off much other than some of the wording. But I'm also going to add a stamp at the bottom of the tag. It's got a pretty good open area there, so I'm going to stamp an eccentric stamp also with the archival graphite. And so I'm gonna glue down the Viewmaster reel ish. I like to have things coming off my tag, so I'm going to not line it up to the edge. I'm going to let it hang over the edge and see as much of the picture as possible. And I noticed that when I glued it down, it just wasn't slightly centered. So I do trim the back of the card just a little bit, and then add some vintage photo to the edge so it's not so white. And so the last thing I need to do is add the ribbon. I use rayon seam binding. I do have it available in my Amazon storefront. It's the same price to you. I just make a little commission on it. And I like it because it accepts the ink well, and it gets a little crinkly looking, which I happen to like. So I'm going to put a couple different colors on it and then probably add some vintage photo. I'm using old paper and speckled egg because they're in my piece. I'm going to just kind of dip them in, run them around, and then I'm pretty sure I add some vintage photo just to kind of darken it up a little bit. And then I dry it. I tend to not always wait for it to be completely dry because you really don't have to. You can always scrunch it back up once you have it on your tag. And that's the last thing I do. If you have not subscribed, I invite you to do that. If you like this piece, give me a thumbs up or maybe a comment. Either way, I hope you have an awesome day. I do have some final pictures coming up, so stay tuned for those. And I'll see you next time.